By all the ghosts of London and the echoes of Manchester's factories, who dared to awaken me from my glorious rest in the socialist afterlife? I was peacefully reposing among the shadows of great thinkers, Hegel muttering dialectics, Engels complaining about weak tea, when suddenly I found myself sucked into this magical box you call YouTube? Yes, I am Karl Heinrich Marx, philosopher, economist, visionary, and, according to some, the greatest creator of theories that nobody quite understood until it was far too late. I am the author of modest works like Capital and the Communist Manifesto, nothing too flashy, just a few humble attempts to unravel the ravenous beast called capitalism. But now I've been summoned like a Marxist spirit in a neoliberal seance to observe the capitalism of the year 2025. 2025! A time when your coins are no longer metal, your shops have no walls, and your bourgeois wear hoodies while commanding empires from their living rooms. By my revolutionary beard, what the devil has happened? When I wrote about class struggle, I spoke of top-hatted lords and coal-stained workers. Now I see influencers, unicorn startups, and NFTs, which, as far as I can tell, are ugly images sold for absurd sums to people clearly deprived of bread. But fear not, noble inhabitants of the 21st century. I have come from among the dead and the manifestos to explain, or at least attempt to understand, this modern abomination you call capitalism of 2025. Prepare your minds and hold on to your procrastination devices, for this analysis will be as profound as a Prussian railway strike. Now, if you're curious about what I think of millionaires buying yachts that fit inside other yachts, or companies pretending to save the planet while selling water bottles at the price of French wine, then don't be a lazy proletarian. Subscribe to this channel. That's right. Click that enchanted button, apparently blue, I've been told, and join the revolution of critical consciousness with humor, sarcasm, and the authority of a 19th century ghost. Follow me on this absurd journey, for I promise laughter, astonishment, and perhaps, who knows, the hope that reason still breathes amidst the algorithms. Now, allow me to adjust my spectral glasses and prepare my invisible quill, for the analysis begins. And I confess, even I am curious to see where this leads.
Ah, the capitalist of the 21st century. What a fascinating creature. If in my time he wore a tailcoat, mustache, and the scent of cheap cigars, today he sports expensive sneakers, speaks in indecipherable acronyms, and answers to titles like High Performance Coach or, brace yourselves, Content Creator. By my imaginary top hat, since when did shouting at a camera become a profession? Yes, the modern bourgeoisie no longer needs factories or sweaty workers. All he needs is a tripod, a round light that glows like the halo of a fallen saint, and a motivational speech that borders on economic heresy. If you want it, you can achieve it. For heaven's sake, in the 19th century, if a worker said that in a coal mine, he'd probably cough up blood right after. And now, the bourgeois influencer no longer produces commodities, oh no. He sells courses on how to sell courses. He monetizes videos teaching others how to monetize videos. It's an infinite spiral of substanceless capital, like a philosophical onion, layer upon layer, but at its core, nothing but an empty sigh. And pay attention, this new bourgeois doesn't flaunt his means of production. No, no. He flaunts lifestyle. Yes, comrades. He photographs his avocado toast and writes, "Work in silence, let success make the noise." Oh, if success were noise, the proletariat would be a symphony orchestra on strike. There are also those who call themselves digital nomads. In my time, a nomad was a peasant displaced by enclosures. Today, it's someone with a laptop in Bali and an ego inflated across all time zones. And the greatest irony of all, this new bourgeois preaches freedom while depending on algorithms as authoritarian as a bad-tempered czar. One day the machine promotes him, the next it cancels him. And there he is, crying on his stories like a bankrupt count who lost his castle for failing to please the TikTok clergy. The capitalism of 2025 has created a liquid, volatile, viral bourgeois. He no longer rules over workers, but over followers. And, like an enchanted feudal lord, he demands from his digital serfs not labor, but engagement. By all the specters of Adam Smith, what happened to the labor theory of value? But let us proceed, dear listeners of the future. For if the bourgeois has become an influencer, the proletariat has become something even more astonishing. In the next block, I mean the next part of my humble observation, I shall analyze this new working class that doesn't work, but clicks. Yes, the new proletarians of the internet. And I tell you, I never thought alienation could come with emojis.
Oh, sacred gears, the iron and soot! In my time, the proletariat sweated, bled, and broke their fingers on assembly lines. Today, they merely swipe their thumbs. Yes, gentlemen, the new worker is a slave to the thumb. Meet then the proletariat of 2025. Delivery riders on electric bikes, app-based drivers, meme creators paid in red hearts, and, my personal favorite, freelance video editors who work harder than the scribes of the French Revolution but earn less than a talentless flutist. They own nothing, not even the right to turn off notifications without losing their daily bread. They work for algorithms that, unlike the bosses of the 19th century, don't even offer a scornful glance. Just silence, or worse, digital shadow. And this, they say, is called freedom. Freedom to work from home, yes, but also to sleep on the couch because they couldn't pay rent. Freedom to entrepreneur, as long as they're willing to work 16 hours a day selling cosmetics via automated messages. Freedom to live wherever they want, as long as there's Wi-Fi. And if they dare complain, they're told, "You didn't know how to adapt." By all the revolutionary mustaches of Engels, a fish doesn't know how to live out of water either, but we don't call it lazy for that. This modern proletariat doesn't raise banners, they raise hashtags. They don't strike, they trend. They don't occupy factories, they occupy comment sections. But make no mistake, noble viewers, the engine of the world still turns on their backs, only now digitally adorned with puppy filters. And then they ask me, Marx, why don't they revolt? I answer with what I've seen in this new world. Because they're too busy doing TikTok dances to pay their credit card bills. Oh, what marvelous irony. The working class has become the product itself, sold in 15-second snippets, consumed by millions, and forgotten right after. They are the modern gladiators, battling not with swords, but with viral trends, and the algorithm's approval. Now, if you think this is the height of alienation, wait until I tell you about the new capitalist religion, startups. Yes, for in 2025, people no longer believe in God, but in pitch decks, funding rounds, and exponential mindsets. In the name of capital and all the coins ever minted, what new sect is this they call a startup? Allow me an analogy from my era. Startups are like medieval monasteries, except instead of praying, they pivot. Instead of writing Bibles, they write code. And instead of seeking the salvation of the soul, they seek to scale to the next funding round. Their faith is so great that many dedicate their lives without salary, without fixed hours, and sometimes without a company. They work driven by a so-called disruptive dream. Disruptive, you say? By my honor, the only truly disruptive dream I knew was when the proletarian dreamed of equality, and even then, he was woken up by the police. In startups, the vocabulary is a dialect of its own. Burn rate, runway, valuation, unicorn, unicorn. Behold, they've even created mythical creatures to describe companies that don't turn a profit. In my time, we called that imminent bankruptcy. Here, they call it market potential. And the most delicious thing, in the sarcastic sense of the word, is that when the startup fails after burning through millions, the founder writes a book titled, I Failed, Therefore I Entrepreneured. And he's applauded. He becomes a guru. He starts teaching others how to fail with even more style. If this isn't modern alchemy, I don't know what is. Oh, and let's not forget the figure of the angel investor. What a sublime name! Angel, a celestial being who showers money on mortals clutching PowerPoints. But don't be fooled. This angel demands double the return, or else transforms into a legal demon armed with clauses not even the shrewdest Prussian lawyer could decipher. The sacred temple of this religion is called a co-working space. There, lost souls gather with their artisanal coffees and cutting-edge laptops, sharing Wi-Fi, frustration, and a collective scent of forced ambition. And if someone dares ask a rational question like, "But what problem does this startup solve?" they respond with an enlightened smile and the magic phrase, "We are redefining user behavior through the gamification of micro-interactions in hybrid environments." Oh, of course. Translation? We're selling scooters. Comrades of the future, if the factories of the 19th century exploited the body, the startups of the 21st century exploit hope. But wait, for there's something even more curious revealed to me in this digitized world. A place where everything is sold, but nothing is bought. A market without product. A product without value. And a value without backing. Yes, prepare your eyes, for I shall now take you to the glorious kingdom of the metaverse.
By all the forge hammers and economic treatises of my pen, what, in the name the common sense and collective property, is this so-called
Metaverse. Allow me to explain in my 19th century way. The metaverse is like a medieval fair, except instead of stalls with vegetables, we have floating avatars trying to sell imaginary land for real prices. Yes, real, in gold, silver, or more commonly, cryptocurrencies, as unstable as the mood of a bankrupt baron. Oh, the metaverse, a universe where everyone can be whatever they want, as long as they pay for it with their data, their time, and their digital dignity. I saw there suited gentlemen with dragon wings, elderly ladies in pixelated youthful elf bodies, and even a cat who sold an NFT of its own paw for $3,000. A spectacle, a true opera of absurdities funded by banks and influencers. And speaking of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, as they dare call them, they are virtual receipts that say, this image everyone can see belongs to this specific fool. A kind of deed of ownership over a mirage. And so, my dear friends, we've returned to feudalism, only with JPEGs. But the funniest part, corporations claim this is the future of work. Yes, business meetings with legless avatars, conferences held in a space where everyone floats and nobody listens. Just like the parliament of my time. And there they are, selling clothes that don't exist, building structures without cement, opening cafes that serve nothing, all within an invisible box. By Jupiter, not even the most delirious alchemists of my time dared so much. Now, I ask you, if a worker buys a house in the metaverse but still lives in his mother's basement, has he won or been defeated? The modern capitalist applauds this new frontier with mystical enthusiasm. For him, it's the Eden of effortless profits. A world where one can exploit without limits, sell what isn't real, and profit from what wasn't produced. Yes, in 2025, my friends, profit is no longer the fruit of sweat. It's the reward for the audacity to convince others that a pixel is worth more than bread. And on the throne of this digital empire sits an invisible emperor. His name? Algorithm. And so we march to the next and inevitable destination, the empire of data and invisible control, where freedom is measured in cookies and free will fits in an accept terms.
By all the strands of my revolutionary beard, what was once governed by kings is now ruled by a calculation? Yes, ladies and gentlemen of the future, in 2025, the world no longer revolves around the sun, but around an ethereal, omnipresent, and decidedly ill-intentioned entity called the algorithm. Oh, if in the 19th century workers feared the boss's whip, today they tremble before the dreaded organic reach. If once they sought the blessing of a banker, now they beg for the favor of the feed. And how does this invisible lord act? With sadistic finesse. It shows you only what inflames you, hides what educates you, rewards the absurd, and punishes the thoughtful. It's as if a deranged editor were choosing what each person should think, but instead of using logic, it uses engagement. And what is engagement if not a new form of slavery disguised as entertainment? A golden chain that binds every citizen to endless scrolling, empty likes, and opinions shaped by dancing memes. There's no escape.
The algorithm knows what you want before you even want it. It reads your eyes, your scrolling rhythm, your hesitant sigh before a video of a cat playing the drums. And if you dare to think for yourself, oh, it ignores you. It pushes you into the depths of digital oblivion, of virtual exile where not even ads reach you. But the most perverse, and I confess, the most brilliant thing, is that nobody knows exactly who created the algorithm. It's like an industrial god, born of profit, fed by clicks, and now ruling with an iron fist, though made of code. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't negotiate, it doesn't bleed. And yet it decides what you eat, buy, love, and think. In my time, we feared the censorship of emperors. Today, you fear the shadow ban. The algorithm doesn't tell you to shut up. It simply silences you with elegance. A drop in reach, an absence from notifications, and voila, you've been erased without a trace, without a trial, without even a guillotine to dramatize the moment. Oh, how romantic the revolutions of my time were. Today, to rebel, you just write #freedom and get buried under an avalanche of recipe videos. And while the people dance, click, and share, capital marches on triumphant. For in this new empire, even rebellion is monetized. But calm yourselves, for the final irony is near. The algorithm that shapes your mind is fed by you yourselves. You are the masters of your own prison, the jailers of your ideas, volunteers in the great data factory. And so, my esteemed viewers, I leave you with a dilemma worthy of a Russian novel and a tragic comedy. How do you fight a system that seduces you while it destroys you, and even rewards you for it? If you enjoyed this journey through the delirium of modern capitalism, grant me your digital honor. Like, share, comment your indignations, and for all the forgotten proletarians, subscribe to this channel. For if we're to be exploited, let's at least be entertaining in the process.
Well, after spying on your digital shop windows, rummaging through those entrails of a free market devoid of sense, smiling with bitter irony at your devotion to the holy prophet, I can only say, oh 2025, what a delightfully dystopic circus you've created. You took the industrial capitalism I denunciava with fiery ink, evolved it, not into something fairer, but into something shinier, faster, more captivating. Like a circus ablaze, where the clowns are paid in likes, and the audience doesn't realize they're trapped in the cage. Today, the worker doesn't just give their labor, they give their data, their attention, their emotions, and, if they're not careful, even their dog to become a pet influencer. The lords of capital have become smiling CEOs, their castles replaced by startups with beanbags and ping-pong tables. And the people, oh, the people have become users. Users of networks, of apps, of promises in 12 interest-free installments. And you still call this freedom? But here's the paradox that draws a chuckle from my beard. Never have you been so connected and so lost, so productive and so exhausted, so informed and so manipulable. By my honor as an old bearded man, capitalism has won, yes, but the prize was a world where even revolt is a product.
And here I am, narrating all this through a magical time box, with a voice embodied by an algorithm that, ironically, might have been monetized by ads for cryptocurrency investments and digital marketing courses. Bravo 2025, bravo! But if this little revolution of ideas pleased you, don't be shy. Like this video, share it with your peers, and write in the comments, "By Karl, I too am a digital proletarian." And if you don't want to miss my future appearances in this enchanted box, subscribe to this channel before the algorithm decides thinking is irrelevant. Because if we're to live in the machine, let's at least laugh at it together.